All right, today we're going to try and crack a code. But this isn't some ancient scroll or a secret spy message. Nope, the code we're looking at is hidden inside a single, mysterious number. At first glance, it really does just look like a random jumble of digits. But as we're about to see, it might just be a message written in the language of one of the most famous patterns in all of mathematics.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Are we just looking at statistical noise? A random fluke? Or is this something else entirely? Is this intentional, mathematical design? To figure that out, we're going to have to be detectives, following the clues hidden right inside this long string of digits.
Okay, here it is, our subject, our artifact, a 17-digit number. And yeah, just looking at it, it doesn't really seem like much, does it? But the analysis we're diving into today suggests there's something profound hiding in plain sight. So let's start breaking it down.
Okay, so the first step in any investigation like this is to look for patterns. A 17-digit string is way too much to handle all at once. So the analysis starts by doing something simple, segmenting it, breaking it into smaller, more manageable chunks.
And this is what we get. It's broken down into 9 separate segments. Now we can really start to look at these individual pieces and see if anything jumps out. And you know what? Something does, almost immediately. But to really get why it's so cool, we need a super quick refresher on something.
Yeah, the Fibonacci sequence. You've probably seen it before. It's so simple, right? Each number is just the sum of the two that came before it. It's this fundamental pattern that shows up literally everywhere in nature, from the spirals on a seashell to the petals on a flower. Just keep these numbers in your head as we look back at our segments.
Okay, with that fresh in our minds, let's look at our segments again. And whoa, right away, would you look at that? 3 of them, the 5, the 89, and the 21, they aren't random at all. They are actual numbers straight out of the Fibonacci sequence. Now, the odds of that seem pretty low, but come on, could it just be a really lucky coincidence?
Well, turns out it's not even close to being a coincidence. The analysis compared this number to tons and tons of other random 17-digit numbers, and the results are pretty staggering. On average, a random number only had about 0.4 Fibonacci hits. Our number has 3. That is so statistically unlikely, it's our first major piece of evidence that something very special is going on here.
So, 3 direct hits. That's a huge clue right off the bat. But what about the other 6 segments? Are they just random noise, junk data just filling in the gaps? Or could they also be part of the pattern just in a more subtle way?
As it turns out, a lot of the other segments are, well, you could call them Fibonacci adjacent. They are suspiciously close to actual Fibonacci numbers. For example, our segment 57 is only 2 little digits away from 55. And the segment 36? Only 2 away from 34. It's like they're all hovering right around the real sequence.
And this isn't just a vague feeling. You can actually put a number on this closeness. If you calculate the average distance, or deviation, of all 9 segments from their nearest Fibonacci number, you get this one value, 2.78. Now, by itself, that number might not mean a whole lot, but its real power comes when we compare it to the alternative.
And here's that comparison. The average deviation for any old random number is 5.42. Our number's deviation is nearly half that. So not only does it have these direct hits, but its other segments are also kind of magnetically pulled toward the Fibonacci sequence. The case for this being a deliberate design is getting stronger and stronger.
Okay, so the segments are clearly tied to the Fibonacci sequence. But the investigation found something even deeper, something you might call a hidden grammar. It looks like the segments are mathematically related to each other, in a way that echoes the very logic of the Fibonacci sequence itself.
Check this out. It's like the number has its own internal rules. The segment 84, for instance, can be made by adding 2 other segments, 36 and 47, with just a tiny little adjustment. That's just like the Fibonacci rule. Then you've got other weird little transformations, like 47 minus 11 gives you 36. And maybe the weirdest of all, if you add up individual digits scattered across the number, they form the Fibonacci number 21. It's this complex, self-referential logic.
So let's recap. We have direct hits, we have this suspicious closeness, and now we have this strange internal grammar. Is there a single unifying theory that can tie all of this together? Well, there is, and it just happens to be one of the most famous and elegant numbers in all of mathematics, the golden ratio.
Ah, the golden ratio, phi.
It has this really deep and beautiful connection to the Fibonacci sequence. See, if you take any two consecutive Fibonacci numbers and divide them, their ratio gets closer and closer and closer to 1.618, the higher up you go. So if our number is truly a Fibonacci code, it should also have a signature of the golden ratio hidden somewhere inside.
And you know what? It absolutely does. When you take the ratio of two of our key segments, 89 and 57, you get 1.561. Now that is remarkably close to the golden ratio's 1.618. This feels like the final piece of the puzzle, the capstone of the whole investigation.
I mean, just how close is it? The deviation is a teeny tiny 0.057. Think about that. Out of all the possible ratios you could find in a random number, landing this close to a fundamental constant of the universe is just astonishing. Finding this golden signature, this little echo of phi embedded within the segments, that's maybe the most compelling evidence yet that this is not random. It has harmony. It has proportion.
So let's just step back and look at all the evidence we've piled up. We started with what looked like a completely random number, and we've just peeled back layer after layer of incredible mathematical structure. I think it's time to reach a verdict.
So here's the case, in a nutshell. We have a statistically insane number of direct Fibonacci hits. We have an unusually low average deviation for all the other segments. We've got a hidden internal grammar that mimics the Fibonacci rule. And to top it all off, we have the signature of the golden ratio itself.
When you put all of that evidence together, the conclusion, it becomes almost inescapable. In the words of the analysis, this is not a random number, but a numerical structure designed with multi-layered Fibonacci and golden ratio patterns. To put it simply, it's a code. The evidence points overwhelmingly towards intentional design.
And that, of course, leaves us with one final and pretty tantalizing question. The analysis shows that this is almost certainly a code. But that just opens up an even bigger mystery. Because if it is a code, who wrote it? And maybe more importantly, what in the world was it designed to unlock?